2014 brings so many changes. It's the most amount of changes in over 2 decades in Formula One. The most significant of all the changes is definitely the powertrain. We've gone from a naturally aspirated engine to a turbocharged unit. We're going to a V6 turbo engine. It's a fuel flow limited unit as well. So it means that you don't just have unlimited amount of fuel to burn. So you have 100 kilogram fuel mass for the race. In addition to that, you are not allowed to burn more than 100 kilograms per hour. And that's a profile that changes with speed. The significant change on the engine recovery system is the fact that the power has doubled. So you've gone from 80 horsepower up to 160 horsepower. But even more significant than that is the energy that you're allowed to deploy has gone up by a factor of 10. So you've gone from 10 kilojoules per lap to 4 megajoules. So those two changes instantly change the game for the ERS system, and it goes from being worth 0.3 of a second per lap to over 2 seconds per lap. You're only allowed to harvest 2 megajoules per lap, so half as much as you can deploy. Therefore, if you just kept using it at the full allowance, you would run out of ERS. So there's going to be a lot of strategic use in the race where you're saving ERS when you're catching someone, then use all of it to burst past them. Although the weight limit's gone up, the amount of battery energy required, the ERS system, the actual turbocharged power unit itself, all of the masses increased on the car to accommodate all of that. It's very difficult to even achieve the weight limit because the teams have worked so hard to try and do that, and I think we're going to see a big investment in that during the course of 2014. The gearbox is a completely new design. It's an 8-speed transmission. All the ratios are fixed for the year now, so every team has to decide their ratios before Melbourne. They get one single change during 2014 only, and then for 15 that's finished. That's just in case you made a really big mistake, because it's the first year of such a change. The only reason why you can have fixed ratios is really because of the fuel flow limited engine. Because that creates a very flat power curve between 10,500 and 15,000, it means that you can fix your ratios the same for all tracks. So therefore the gear ratios that you run at Monte Carlo will be the same gear ratios as what you run in Monza. I think when you look at the new cars, the 2 or 3 areas that the fans are going to see the most are really around the front wing area. You're also going to notice around the rear of the car, the whole rear wing configuration is different. And then also you'll notice the exhaust system is very different. Exhaust blown diffusers have disappeared now. The FIA have done that through ensuring that the single tailpipe from the single turbo runs down the centre line of the car for all cars and runs out the back and above the rear impact structure. So you can't direct the exhaust anywhere near any diffuser component. So exhaust blown diffusers are finished. The front wing itself is 150 millimeters narrower, so 75 mil per side. That's really significant in the way it affects the airflow around the front of the car, and also the front of the chassis is lower, so that you don't see the high chassis in terms of what we've seen in recent years. On the rear wing, what we used to call a wing beam on the car has disappeared. You don't have one anymore. Therefore, you're busy trying to recover downforce, because it means that the diffuser doesn't torque to the top wing the same way it used to. By torque, I mean aerodynamically torque. The 3 things used to be stacked together. You've actually killed something in the middle, so it makes getting downforce at the rear quite a challenge. And in addition to that, you've got the exhaust flowing over the top of it now. All of your airflow on a Formula One car is very critically tuned. Even if you move something by 5 or 10 millimeters, then it can make a big difference. If you move it by 75 millimeters, you're going to make a massive difference, and then you need to retune all the airflow behind it. In the early races, there is no doubt there's going to be significant reliability issues up and down the grid. We've already seen the start of that in dyno programs. We'll see that again in testing. To be honest, if you finish in the first few races, you're going to have a very high chance of scoring points. How long that continues during the year will be a race as well as a performance race. You're going to have a reliability race where people are just spending to get reliable. It could be like the 80s or even worse. The nice thing about big rule changes like this, they create a massive amount of stress and workload in the system, but for an engineer and anyone who's mechanically minded, they're fantastic because it's so interesting. All the engineers can smell the opportunity to gain advantage, and you learn so much because you try so many different things to regain performance, because that's the nature of our business. So it's always quite an exciting time. We'll see what happens in winter testing and the early races.